If you've been scrolling through endless specs, watching the same gaming laptop versus desktop debates, and still feel stuck wondering whether any of them actually make sense for the way you play, this review is going to clear that up. I know it's frustrating to see a wall of numbers, core counts, clock speeds, ray tracing tiers without any sense of how they translate to the real world. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's dig into the Acer Predator Helios Neo 18 and see if it finally bridges the gap between hype and everyday gaming. First off, the biggest question people have about an 18-inch laptop of this size is whether it can actually replace a desktop for a serious gamer. The Helios Neo packs an Intel Core Ultra 9275HX, which is essentially the laptop-grade version of a high-end desktop CPU. In practice, that means you can run the latest titles Cyberpunk 2077, Elden Ring, or even the newest AI-enhanced ray tracing demos without the kind of stutter you'd expect from a mid-range notebook. But the proof is in the day-to-day. I tested it on a 2-hour marathon of Assassin's Creed Valhalla with the graphics set to ultra and ray tracing on. The frame rate hovered just above 60 frames per second, and there were no noticeable dips when the AI upscaling kicked in. That translates to a smooth experience that feels like a console-level session, but with the freedom to tweak settings the way you like. Now, who should be buying this machine? If you're a competitive gamer who spends countless hours in fast-paced shooters, think Valorant, Call of Duty, or Apex Legends, the 240Hz WQXGA panel is a major win. The high refresh rate and G-Sync support keep motion blur to a minimum, letting you track enemies with pinpoint clarity. Pair that with the RTX 5070 Ti, and you get ray-traced reflections and shadows that actually make a visual difference rather than just a novelty. For streamers, the built-in killer Wi-Fi 6E ensures the uplink stays stable even when you're broadcasting in 1080p at 60 frames per second while your teammates are doing the same. Those are the sweet spots where the Helios Neo feels like you're getting desktop-grade performance without the desk space penalty. On the flip side, if your gaming sessions are more casual like indie titles, older RPGs, or you mainly use a console, this laptop is probably overkill. The 16GB of DDR5 memory and 1TB Gen 4 SSD give you lightning-fast load times, but those gains are only noticeable when you're moving large assets around, which most casual games don't demand. In that scenario, you'd be paying a premium for features you'll never tap. Also, the size of the chassis makes it less portable than a 15-inch machine. Carrying an 18-inch laptop through a coffee shop or a friend's house adds a noticeable heft, and the battery life, while decent for a gaming laptop, still tops out around 5 hours under a full load. If you need a laptop that can survive a full day of classes or business meetings without a charger, you'll feel that limitation quickly. Let's talk about the hidden trade-offs. The biggest one is heat. The Ultra 9 processor and RTX 5070 Ti generate a lot of power, and while Acer's cooling system does a competent job using a dual-fan setup with vapor chamber technology, it still pushes the fan noise up to 55 dB when you crank the settings. In a quiet room, you'll hear the fans spin up as you enter a demanding scene. It's not unbearable, but it's something to keep in mind if you stream with a mic and rely on a silent environment. Another practical downside is the keyboard. The Helios Neo uses a standard island-style layout with perky RGB, which looks great, but the key travel is on the shallower side. Players who prefer a deeper, more tactile feel might find the typing experience a bit too snappy. It doesn't affect gaming too much, but for long typing sessions like writing scripts or doing homework, it can become a minor irritation. One of the most compelling strengths is how the laptop leverages AI at multiple levels. The supreme speed. Superior visuals tagline isn't just marketing fluff. The AI-driven super sampling, CSS, really does improve frame rates without sacrificing sharpness. In my tests with Cyberpunk 2077 set to the highest graphics, enabling CSS lifted the frame average from the mid-40s to low 60s, making the difference between a choppy and a smooth experience. That AI assistance also works on power management, allowing the laptop to throttle down when you're on the home screen, extending battery life a bit more than you'd expect from a machine of this power. Another practical advantage is the storage configuration. The 1TB Gen 4 SSD not only offers massive capacity but also reads and writes at speeds that shave seconds off game launch times. I measured the difference between loading a fresh install of Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Helios Neo versus a comparable older laptop with a SATA drive, and the SSD version shaved roughly 30 seconds off the initial load. For a gamer who jumps between titles daily, those moments add up, making the overall experience feel snappier. Finally, the price point. The Helios Neo sits at a premium spot in the market, but when you break down what you're getting, a near desktop